Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would discuss how so many people overcomplicate, developing their pressing muscles, right? Which are more or less chest and triceps, right? They overcomplicate this, and really you only need some basic movements. And uh, this is from a workout I did today. Obviously, this won't be up for a few weeks. Workout I did today. This kind of shows just basic stuff I'm doing at the moment for hypertrophy for these areas because I'm training purely for that at the moment. I'm kind of pausing training for powerlifting. I can always go back to it when I want to get my numbers back up, but it's just body composition. And these are four basic exercises that I feel like for most people, for 90% of you, you wouldn't need anything else to build these muscles. Okay, these four exercises done together will give you very, very balanced development there if you perform them correctly. And I feel like that's a lot of the problem, when it comes to building chest with a lot of pressing. A lot of times people, they don't press in a way that builds their chest. They don't even press in a way that's good for powerlifting either. So before someone says that, no, it's not because they're powerlifting, it's because they're bouncing the bar off their chest. They don't stack their wrists. They don't work their chest through a nice solid range of motion. They don't get a stretch at the bottom. They don't use their pecs to get the weight moving out of the bottom. Okay? And we know based on research that's out there that bench press builds pecs. It builds the whole pec, upper and lower, pretty well. We know that it builds about half of the tricep really, really well, which we'll address with the other movements. We can address the tricep end. You know, but it's because people are not benching in a way like you see me doing here to where they grip the bar in a place where their elbows go very, very low. So they put the pecs in a stretch position. They either grip way too narrow or way too wide. You want to be pretty close to having, when you touch your chest, your forearms, you want them very, very close to 90 degrees from the floor. You want the bar stacked directly above your wrist bone, not further back in your hand. And you don't want a really big arch. You want a nice long range of motion, and you want to actually use your chest to get the weight started. So you need to not bounce it off your chest, and it's pretty straightforward. This should be a staple, and it has been for decades. Anyone who says the bench press doesn't build the chest has ignored history. They've ignored physiology. They've ignored science because they refuse to do the lift correctly. All right, what I'm doing right there works pretty well. Really high on my list also, incline bench. Incline bench. This will handle all the additional front delt development you need. This is a tremendous front delt builder. It will help build the upper chest. Again, guys who want a really thick chest, a lot of them feel that the bench doesn't build enough upper chest for some people. Well, this resolves that. Also, it puts the chest into a very deep stretch position. But you need to follow the same rules. Notice that I touch the chest, I pause. We put the stretch into the pectorals into a deep stretch position at the bottom, and you use the chest to drive the bar out of the bottom. You don't half rep it, you do it correctly. Stack the wrist correctly. You see me doing. Works really well. And it's a fantastic shoulder exercise. All right, for general tricep building, a laying extension with an easy bar. You can do these with dumbbells. You can do them with a straight bar if your anatomy allows for it. This can be done, I think, equally well with an easy bar or dumbbells. Okay, and people say, what about cables? I'm not saying cables are bad, but if we're trying to build that long head, this puts us into that lengthened position. This stretches the long head a lot, but it does so in a way that's easy on your shoulders. Some behind the head stuff is hard on a lot of people's shoulders. It can compromise that. I like this. It's a good balance exercise that builds the whole tricep with a little bit more emphasis on the long head, the part that kind of gets missed in your benching. But the same thing, you don't have to go crazy heavy on this. This is one of these exercises, if you try to go too heavy, just beat your elbows up. And then you cheat. All right, go all the way behind the head like I'm doing, get a good stretch, and then you need to lock the elbows at the top. It's another thing I'll see guys do. They'll go behind the head and then they'll turn it into a pullover. And then they don't work the other head to the tricep. Okay, done correctly, this exercise is a very balanced exercise that takes the triceps through a full range of motion, works all three heads very effectively. Okay, it works all three heads very, very effectively. It's a great exercise. This is your base. Like these three movements right here will really build a base. You'll also see me do some plate pullovers. I've become a bigger fan of pullovers. As I've gotten older, talked to other coaches, observed stuff, I used to think pullovers were a useless exercise. I mean, I don't see the point of that. Old school bodybuilders swore by them. I know a lot of really jacked guys. I know some jacked drug-free guys who swear by them. And then once you do them and you really do it, because normally it seems like, oh, you do a 45-pound plate, it's not going to do anything. But then once you start doing them, you realize, wow, these really help open the shoulders up. They really help with shoulder mobility. All right. They help stretch the chest through a whole new angle that you're not hitting with this other stuff. It really, really helps finish off your chest development. It works your lats. Like I get a cramp right in my middle back when I do these. If I do these correctly and pause, I get a cramp in my middle back. It's like, wow, this hits a lot of stuff hard. But then on top of it, that long head, let's come back over. All right. People are like, well, don't you need 2 exercises sometimes to maximally develop something? Probably. So our long head gets neglected on the pressing, but it gets worked on the extensions. Well, what about here? This puts the long head into a stretch position also. It works the long head. So it works the chest, lats, some of the shoulders, the long head of the tricep. Okay, let's come back over and again, let's talk about balancing out the musculature from the benching. This will help fill in the gaps. It improves shoulder mobility. I've been using it to correct my old previous injuries that have caused shoulder mobility problems. This has been fixing it. I don't have it perfect yet, but it's worked wonders. It's allowed me to do pull-ups and stuff again pain-free. All right, this exercise brings a lot to the table for such a small little simple movement with just even a 45-pound plate. Okay. It helps fill in the gaps. Like this really pairs up well with your bench press because again, we're hitting that long head of the tricep that's getting neglected, just like we're doing with the extensions, right? We're hitting that. We're improving our shoulder mobility. We're stretching our chest again in another stretch position exercise. Okay. I love this. If we're going to add anything else, because those other 3 are good, if we're going to add something else, I think this is a solid cornerstone. You know, if you're saying, well, I need something besides those others, right here, this exercise. So helpful, so helpful. Just an all-around good upper body builder, shoulder mobility improver. Great exercise. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.